Hey y'all, so I am coming back through with another channeled reading. I feel like this reading will only apply to some of you. You all may not be experiencing the same thing. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Don't try to make a specific scenario fit if it's not your story, if it's not what's going on with you currently or past tense. Keep in mind that any energy that I pick up, it will be either current energy, past tense energy, or something that could happen in the future. For those of you that may be triggered by anything traumatic concerning depression, anxiety, childhood trauma of any sort that you have experienced, sexual abuse, physical abuse, anything along those lines, or anything that's dramatic, like that's drama filled or traumatic, even if you on some level suffer from PTSD, anything that might trigger you in a negative sense. If you're easily triggered by any of these topics, and I strongly suggest you check out my other readings. This may not be the reading for you, but I was very hesitant on doing this reading because I was trying to find the proper way, or I guess, or the right way to deliver this particular reading, because just being that the energy is very heavy and there's a lot of emotions that run very high through this reading. I'm going to try my best to obviously describe what you may be experiencing, but to also provide you with just tools and tips that may be able to help you jumpstart your healing. Because I do really feel that whoever you are, if this applies to you, if any of this resonates, there definitely needs to be healing that takes place here. Not for anyone else, but for you. I think, people stray away from these types of subjects because, well, it's uncomfortable. And I strongly feel that when people do that and they suppress what needs to be addressed and they run away from what needs to be faced and kind of healed and resolved, it creates more mess than it has to create. So I hope that after this reading you have gained some type of clarity, and I hope that it's able to help you in some type of way. Now this may be for some of you, or specifically maybe one of you. Just take what resonates, but I strongly pick up the channeled message that I picked up originally. This was like probably earlier this morning when I received this download. It was a lot that I was able to pick up from this. The main message that came across was, you are more loved than you know. And what I distinctly just get from that is that you have been dealing with, maybe for a couple months, but I really don't feel like it's been a short-term thing. I think this has been an ongoing battle for years, probably ever since you was a child. I feel like someone here is suffering from mental health. This mental health may include certain mental illusions that doesn't make sense, that play out in your mind to where you're unable to rationalize or depict what reality and illusion is. I feel like somewhere in your family line, there were others that have dealt with this type of thing and may even still be current family members that deal with this. Could be, aunt, mother, uncle, father, a brother, sister, whoever. I feel like either it's an older gentleman or older female strongly that has dealt with this. And usually the way that your family works is that if there's issues such as, you suffering from mental health and not feeling like yourself and your energy's all over the place, or any emotions that you try to explain or express, it's shunned away, it's dismissed. And it's dismissed in a sense where even as a child that you may have experienced where either your parents or an older adult somewhere in your family, told you to kind of suck it up. That, oh, nothing's wrong with you, you're fine. The old saying, what goes on in this house stays in this house, and so on and so forth. And so that made you later on in life as an adult, because I really feel like this still affects your adult life, relationships, friendships, even some jobs that you have, held throughout the years. This particular issue has just not been addressed because you've been suppressing it for so long. And so much so that it has become, that routine of you suppressing it has become routine. It's become normalized, and you see no other option because of what you've been told to do concerning it. You have not been shown the way to heal. You haven't been shown love and support so that you feel comfortable in wanting to discuss your emotions or your mental state of mind. Like, it's always shunned away, or it's always dismissed as you being crazy, when in all actuality, it's traumatic experiences that have, in a sense, caused an imbalance in your mental state of mind. That's what I strongly pick up from this. And so you might also be a person that self-medicates. You might also be a person that suffers from depression, anxiety. You might have also experienced a traumatic experience where there was some sort of trauma from a broken family, or you lived in a broken family, or you witnessed some sort of incest within the family. You could have been the person included in this incest, or meaning someone did this to you, or you witnessed it within the family. And either way, someone in your family, kind of told you to just kind of keep quiet about it all. Not speak on it, not address it. Or it might have been shunned away as fabrication and craziness. And, oh, you're just making it up. That's not going on here. When in all actuality, it was. And there goes a train. I don't know if y'all can hear that horn. It's pretty loud. 9/11 could be significant. 10/10 could be significant. And 5/5 could be significant. You could be seeing those numbers. This has made you often feel lost within yourself. It has made you feel lost in society. It has made you feel unloved. It's made you have racing thoughts. It's made you be a little paranoid. I feel like you've been carrying this burden for a very long time. I feel like when you often get into friendships or relationships, you find a way to self-sabotage. You don't feel like anyone, 1010 again, as I say this, you don't feel like you can trust anyone. You don't feel like, you just feel like everyone's out to get you, basically. And experiencing all these things have made you shut down. It's made you put up this great big wall. And this wall is there to, and I'm just getting the energy off of your perspective, whoever you are. This wall represents your safety haven, like your safe net. And as long as no one climbs over this wall, you feel like you're safe. Where it concerns love and receiving love, you feel like you're undeserving of it. You feel that there's not a person that will really love you. 1111 on the timer, so 1111 could be significant. You just feel broken on the inside. You've been carrying so much pain to where you want it all to stop. So much so that you've either had thoughts of suicide or actually tried to commit the act itself. You could be a cutter. You could be... I also picked up that there was some sort of weapon on your dresser, or you were in a car thinking about... You were either in the car or your room thinking about using a gun. And if you are a cutter, I sense that there were like razor blades or some sort of... You were able to get the blade itself from out of the razor. Wrist cutting, arm cutting. That's what I'm getting from that. And if you are not currently a cutter, you used to be. You feel that your family does not care. You've tried on several attempts or more that I'm picking up to go to your immediate family and express what you've been dealing with, how you feel. And every time you do, it gets shut down, or you feel as if no one is really listening to you because no one really cares. I also pick up that with you just being 1313 on a timer, with you being so depressed and suffering from anxiety, in a spiritual sense, it's caused an imbalance within your chakra system. It's caused an imbalance within the duality that's within you. You're more so in your shadow side than you are in your light. But now where we're talking a physical sense, I also pick up that there's so much that you're carrying that you have not released energetically from you. And in turn, it's by carrying it, it's making you physically sick. It's making you physically sick on your stomach. It's making you unable on some occasions to keep food down. It's making you maybe turn to alcohol. It's making you lash out sometimes. It could be no one really provoking you and you will lash out in anger. I get the sense that you have just been running from this, because running makes more sense to you. Running keeps you safe. This has been a hard burden for you to carry. And at this point, you're just not sure how to release it from you. I feel like some of you because I get like half and half. Some of you are aware of this. You're aware that your emotional state needs balance. You are aware that there's some type of healing that does need to take place. So you've been actively trying to work on it, or you're not quite sure. 15-15 on the timer. You're not quite sure where to start. Then there is the other half of you that may be a little in denial about it. You may feel like there's nothing you can do about it. Kind of like lost hope. There's a lot of darkness, I sense, around you. I feel like darker entities are attached to this entire thing. They're attached to this energy. And with the imbalance within you, I feel like that's the representation of that. So I don't know if any of that resonated, but I want to say this to you, to whoever you are. So far, what I've said resonates, any of it. And if none of it resonates, then you already know this is probably not your situation, it's not your story. But if any of it resonated, or some of it did, you should not feel that you have anything to be ashamed about. There's nothing for you to be ashamed about. You shouldn't feel like you've done anything wrong. And I feel like there's this sense within you that you feel like everything has to be perfect. You know, how you look has to be perfect. Your job, the things that you possess, your materialistic world has to be perfect. Every aspect of your life has to be perfect. And if you make a mistake, or if something seems like it's imbalanced, that makes you feel away. The thing is, life isn't perfect. You know, and none of our lives are necessarily perfect. Even if you're a person that literally has everything, there's still something that you will lack, at least internally. You might not lack in your material, but you will lack internally, especially if those internal emotions and your energy internally has been unbalanced. So either way, it's not perfect. It's never too late to heal. Even if you've been dealing with this for months, even if you've been dealing with this for years, you know your situation. Don't allow the opinions of your family and the outside world to dictate how you feel about yourself and where you're going in your life, and make you feel like your emotions are not valid, because they are. To me, that's what makes us human beings. And when we embrace those emotions, and we bring those emotions into balance, and we become self-aware, and we face our internal imbalances and our emotions head on, because we allow ourselves to feel that. And we don't carry any type of shame for it. We just allow ourselves to feel, and we deal with it the best way that we can by healing it. When we become that much self-aware of it, instead of shying it away, to me, that's like the most powerful thing a person can do. And that is healing. Healing is not necessarily meaning that all of these things that's happened to you, you're just going to forget about them. That's not realistic. The reality is the memories of those situations will follow you until you leave this earth. It's always going to be there, like in the back of your mind. The problem becomes the problem when you try to shut all of that down as if it doesn't exist. When you try to tell yourself, I'm fine, there's nothing wrong with me, even though I feel this way, I'm just going to dismiss it as me being crazy and it doesn't matter. That's when you have a problem, because all you're really doing in that moment is you're running away from yourself. You are running away from your own emotions, and you're running away from the things you need to face about yourself. When you're able to bring all of that into balance and bring who you are into balance, and you faced all your pain and all your trauma head on, and you have healed from your shadow side, you have healed from the things that trigger you, basically, that's when you become balanced. And that's when you can become the greatest version of yourself, which is actually inside of you. You just need to bring it out. And at the end of the day, we all have faced certain things that we're not proud of, or experienced certain things that have been traumatic and painful. I feel like it's all about how we choose to deal with them. That will determine the rest of our life. So I feel like your spiritual guidance here is bring yourself into balance. There's too much that's going on within you that's imbalanced. There's too much pain and trauma that you're carrying. And instead of facing it head on, and instead of allowing yourself to feel whatever emotions that do come up from it or that resurface, you are pushing those emotions down because it feels safe. And you're only doing that because that's how you was raised, or that's what you was told to believe. And I'm not excusing certain things that may have taken place with you as a child. In no way, shape, or form am I excusing the actions of our parents when they raised us, or if your parents were the type of parents to tell you to, suck it up, you'll be fine, and seemed as if they didn't really give a shit. When you are a parent, you do the best that you can with what you know, and it really stems back to how you was raised before you decide to have children. So then you pass those same ideals to the next generation after you. Not that you mean to do it, it's just you're programmed in that sense. And when we're really not aware of that, most of the time our parents will do that same thing. They will pass on whatever they was taught. And because to them that's normal. To them that makes sense to them. Not really understanding that when you tell a child to suck up their emotions, and whether it's a boy or a girl you're dealing with, and you tell them, oh, don't cry. If you scrape your knee, just, put a Band-Aid on it. You suck it up. You'll be fine. Little boys don't cry. I'm just using that for an example. Right in that moment, we're telling our children basically to do just that. To push all those emotions down that they're feeling like they're non-existent, and to carry on with life like nothing's going on. All is well. When in reality, all we're doing is suppressing something for a moment. Those same emotions, that same trauma, the same drama that child experienced, when they become an adult, it will resurface. It will either manifest itself and resurface in their adulthood, or it will resurface in some way, shape, or form in their lives. And then it will do more damage than good. That's just what it is. And I think a lot of people are not self-aware in that sense, to understand that by doing something like that, it doesn't help the other person. All it does is create more problems in the long run than it does solutions. So you have to keep in mind, whoever you are, if what I've said so far resonates, you have to keep in mind that people do the best that they can, and that our parents raising us probably did the best that they could. And maybe in their lifetime they didn't choose to heal those certain things, so all of that was passed down to us. But I feel like now is an opportunity for you to change that dynamic. This is an opportunity for you to, as ugly as the situation looks, as much as you have endured, and as dark as it seems, this is your opportunity to not only bring yourself into balance and become self-aware of your own emotional state, and bring in the balance of your dark and light, but this is an opportunity for you to heal. And when I say heal, I don't just mean you journal in a book, or you go to a spa and have a spa day, or you hang out with your homegirls or your homeboys and y'all have a big old group discussion. A discussion is great. Doing meditation, doing journaling, all of that stuff is great. When I say heal, I mean you are taking a moment to revisit those traumatic experiences. You are taking a moment to go internally within yourself. And you are allowing whatever emotions come up to the surface, you're allowing yourself to feel it and release it. And the greatest way that you can release it is through tears. It's through crying it out. And journaling, in a sense, does help you release that. But purging it, that's you purging it physically, but you are releasing those emotions energetically. And if you do that enough, and you become self-aware every time you feel some type of way, or every time that same traumatic experience come up, or you get triggered, eventually, if you work on it long enough, and you work on yourself long enough, those triggers will no longer trigger you, because you would have made peace with it. You would have taken the time to understand it. For instance, if there's something that took place in your childhood, whereas maybe you felt like you were not loved from your mom or your dad, when you allow those emotions to come up to the forefront, and it puts you in a state of crying, because now you're feeling some type of way, and you're becoming triggered by it, or it's brought up in conversations and you're becoming triggered by it. In that moment when you're feeling that, this is an opportunity for you to say to yourself, okay, why am I feeling this? If I'm triggered, where is this trigger coming from? what took place that has made me still carry this. You know, once you become self-aware about things like this and you truly do the inner work and you peel back the layers of yourself, and I'm talking about you face some really harsh truths about yourself, like you swallowing some hard pills about yourself, and you start to understand your perspective and the perspective of whoever did it to you, or if you was the cause of it. It gives you a sense of self-empowerment, and it gives you a sense of freedom, because now you have done the internal work. Now you have taken the time to truly sit with yourself and try to understand yourself and understand all these pains and triggers, and where now it all makes sense. And you can become free by purging it all. And you make peace with it because now you understand, okay, this did take place. There's nothing I can do to go back and change it. I'm going to make peace with it. And I'm going to forgive myself, or I'm going to forgive the person who did it to me. Like doing the healing work and facing yourself from an internal perspective, it allows you to look at the bigger picture. It allows you to look at it from both sides, not just your own. And once you've done that long enough, and you have given yourself permission to heal and let go and make peace, it's like sky's the limit from there. Because now, if it's ever brought up in a conversation, if you ever come around that same family member that might have done a trauma to you, I'm not saying that you should. You don't have to deal with any family if you choose not to. But let's say a family member was the cause of it, or a friend was the cause of it. If it's ever brought up in conversation, or you seeing that person's face, you'll no longer become triggered. That means that person no longer holds power over you. That emotion does not hold power over you. And when you become in that type of mental state, when you become that much self-aware, that is fucking power. I don't care what nobody says. And that's when you become truly free and liberated. But you can only get there by being totally honest with yourself, by allowing yourself to forgive yourself. 333 on my timer. Like, that's the first 2 steps to it. The first step is becoming self-aware, being honest with yourself, and being honest with yourself about the situation or the emotions that you feel. The second part of it is forgiveness. It's forgiving yourself, but also forgiving that other person. And somewhere in between, you are bringing yourself into balance. And then the final stage is where you are no longer triggered. You're free. You're free from that old version of yourself, from those specific emotions that used to hold you back, that used to make you become depressed, that used to make you carry so much anxiety and paranoia. It can even help you get a better sense of self-love about yourself. But you have to be willing to do the inner work, and this will require you to go to some uncomfortable places within yourself. And a lot of people live in denial land, unfortunately. They live in a delusional reality, or that they feel is reality. And instead of them facing themselves, they either project it onto other people, or they spend their entire lives running from it. Because that is what's safe for them. That is the only way that they feel is normal. And and again, it stems back to how we were raised. It's not our fault exactly who or what has done what to us. It's not our fault when we experience painful and traumatic things. It is our responsibility, if we choose not to heal from it. That's when it becomes on us. Because now, especially when we become adults, we can't just walk around blaming other people and pointing the finger at other people. At some point, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror. And I'm not even talking about the physical reflection of yourself. I'm talking about truly look at yourself internally to figure out what's going on inside of you that's causing you to not be your greatest version, that's causing you to self-sabotage, that's causing you to run from yourself. These are the questions and the things that we will have to do in order to heal. But if you choose not to do this, if you choose to let this overpower you and take control over your life and continue to take control over your life, you will be in this constant state of being unfulfilled, being in a depressional state, and carrying anxiety and lashing out at other people when it's not other people's fault. You'll go in one great big circle. You'll keep chasing your own tail until eventually you get tired. So I feel like whoever this is, if it resonated so far, I feel like the spiritual advice here is to free yourself. And the only way that you can free yourself is to heal. And the only way that you can heal is to allow yourself to feel this. So deal with it head on. Not run from it. Not do what has felt comfortable to you. But to truly face yourself. And then forgive others that have either done it to you, or forgive yourself for putting up with people's nonsense or putting up with people mistreating you. Because that can become both sides of the coin too. It really all depends on our different journeys. We're all on different, journeys. In this video, or probably within the description of this video, I felt that this would be probably the perfect opportunity to include some meditations that have truly helped me on my journey. I can relate a lot to this specific message in general because I do come from a broken home. I was the kid that grew up without dad and, dealt with different stages in my life where there was, depression, there was anxiety, there was bullying, as a child. And there was a sense of not really having confidence in myself and lacking self-love, and feeling like unloved, where I chose the wrong specific partners, like romantic partners. Because I felt like on one end, yeah, I wanted to be with this person, but what it really boiled down to is that I was trying to look for my father in these men. And that's just as simple as that. I was looking for something in another person that honestly I had in myself the entire time. It was really about what was going on with me inside. It had nothing to do with these men that I was choosing, and it took me a long time, but I think I've finally gotten to a place where I understand that now. I understand how vital it is to make peace with our past and to heal. It's not really telling myself that none of these things happen, that that I'll just forget it. No, that's unrealistic. But it's being real enough with myself to understand, okay, this is where you went wrong. This is what you allowed someone to do to you. This is what you were doing that maybe was not healthy for you to be doing. How do you fix it? How do you heal from this? Where do you start? So for me, I started with my childhood. I went all the way back to that uncomfortable place and I started there. And I've been working my way up ever since. I'm not done. Let's not get this shit twisted. I'm not even finna cap with y'all. But the point of all of this is it's not really what is done to us. It is how we choose to respond. It is how we choose to 42 on the timer. It's about how we choose to grow as a person and evolve as a person. I even got to a state where, yes, I had to forgive a lot of individuals that I really did not want to forgive, that I felt on a lot of levels did not deserve my forgiveness. But I also had to forgive myself for falling for the okie doke, for, forgetting who I am and forgetting that sense of self-love. And like not only loving on myself, but just pouring all of that inside of me. Because I allowed it to be taken from me, in a sense. I allowed what took place with me as a child and some of my adulthood and like teenage years, I allowed a lot of that pain and hurt and all of that to dictate how I move in life. Like, how I respond to things. Carried around a lot of pain and anger and depression and all of that, I dealt with, sexual abuse and physical abuse and mental abuse. I dealt with all of that. But I think, and I'm just using me for an example. By the way, I'm being very vulnerable with y'all. I don't talk about personal stuff that often about myself. But I feel like this particular reading requires it. Because whoever this is for, I really need you to understand you're not alone. And trust me, I get it. I understand it on so many levels. I do. But I think maybe about 2-3 years ago, I decided to start this whole self-healing journey and spiritual journey. I got into spirituality really based upon that, but also wanting to know certain truths about just life in general, the secrets of life. And I wanted to know why I felt like I was being lied to. Like, if this don't add up, why doesn't it add up? If this was told to me, why does this say this? Like, I had too many questions. I still got questions, but you get my gist. I kind of wanted to know the truth of like what it is versus what I was told. And so outside of that, I felt like, okay, I need to heal. It's time. It's time to stop making excuses. It's time to stop blaming my dad and on shit that he did or didn't do. It's time to stop blaming my mom, blaming anyone. It is time for me to take some accountability too, because I damn sure had to do that. Healing is not just about singing bowls and and journaling and having tea time and shit and doing self-care physically, to your body and going to the gym. All that stuff is great. Don't get me wrong, but if you're not fixing the internal part of you, then really all of that doesn't even matter. It's not going to matter. Because the same issues that you're running from, that you refuse to face, is going to keep resurfacing until you face them, until you heal from it. And the other thing that I found is that healing really, it's a lot of crying. It's a lot of, like, damn, I really fell for that shit, or damn, I really allowed this, or damn, this is what I've been running from. Like, it's a lot of self-realization, self-introspection. It's a lot of, like, digging deep. And I'm talking about it's taking you to some pretty dark places that you don't want to be in. And a lot of people are not mentally or emotionally equipped to do that type of work. They're not equipped to even start the healing season because they're, in a sense, their mental state of mind is in denial. And they're in denial because their ego won't let them face the truth. The truth is scary to them. The truth is uncomfortable. The truth is not something people want to hear all the damn time or face. Which I get it. But I think for me personally, I got tired of running from the bullshit. I got tired of running from myself. And I got tired of not really taking accountability for some of the shit I've said and done in life. It's not always everybody's fault. That's what I had to realize too. Like, some of this is, I got to take accountability. I'm not an angel, but at the same time, I'm not a fucking saint either. So it all goes hand in hand, but it really boils down to you being honest with yourself. It's not about anyone else outside of you. It's not about your family or merely what the world thinks of you. It's really about how do you view yourself. And if there's something that's going on with you emotionally, examine that, explore that, and figure out why. Why do you feel that way? What is making you feel that way? Or what has taken place with you in your life that's made you feel that way? And then the second part is, how do you heal from that? How do you make peace with that? Because ultimately, you're going to have to make peace with it either way. So I think people just have this misunderstanding of what healing is. you know. But